you believe it? The cost to buy our tiny Korean farm was the same amount as our deposit to rent our apartment in Seoul. This is our apartment in Seoul. And this is our little farmhouse in Korea's countryside. And we're going to show you what 80 million won gets you in the city and what it can get you in the country. An 80 million won, roughly $55,000 deposit in the city got us 4 bedrooms. Bedroom 1, bedroom 2, bedroom 3, bedroom 4, pantry, living room, bathroom 1, bathroom 2, a walk-in closet turned home office, kitchen, laundry room, balcony. And our favorite thing about this place? Exclusive rooftop access. And look at this view! And we're only a 3-minute walk from the closest subway station. This is an old building that's not technically classified as an apartment. They're called villas here, but there's loads of things wrong with it. There's gaps everywhere in the ceilings. There's a giant hole in the ceiling the landlord refused to fix when we moved in. Also, what is this space for? Nothing's aligned, including the windows that are not easy to open and close. My husband had to replace this faucet. Tiles are falling off the walls. And this sink has basically been leaking since we moved in. And that's probably why we got this place for the price that we did. But, I mean, to us, having more space was more important than trying to move into a newer apartment building. What would you do? Space? Newer apartment. And this is what you can get in the country, less than 1.5 hours away from the city by car. But before we get to that, I have to explain the rental system in Korea. There are 2 main ones, Jeonse and Wolse. Jeonse requires you to pay a large lump sum deposit, typically 50 to 80% of the property's value, in place of rent for a standard 2-year contract. The average Jeonse in Seoul last year was 636 million won, roughly $435,000. As you can imagine, most people take out loans for this because who has $435,000 lying around? This has been the far more popular option until recently, when more people have started opting for Wolse. The 보증금, or deposit, also called key money here, ranges all over the board depending on property type, but averages 194 million Korean won, roughly $133,000. Plus monthly rent that averages 1.4 million won, roughly $1,007. And in both cases, you get your deposit back when your contract ends. In the case of Wolse or monthly rent, you obviously don't get your monthly rent back. And if you had to take out a loan for either of these, you obviously don't get your interest back. That's how it works here. I've never heard of this rental system anywhere else in the world before. Is there another place in the world that does this? In our case, we paid 80 million Korean won for our deposit, which with today's exchange rate is roughly $56,000, and 1.2 million Korean won a month in rent, which is about $840. And these are the prices to rent, not buy. Needless to say, we can't afford to buy property in Seoul. Can you? And somehow, populations in rural areas are still shrinking, with people leaving rural areas to move to cities for better job and education opportunities. I think also for the general convenience of living in a city, but this isn't a new phenomenon. It's been happening since the 60s. And you can see it driving around these areas with 노인보호, or old people crossing signs. These signs. Where in other parts of the country or in other parts of the world, you'd probably see children crossing or school crossing signs. Today, only about 18.5% of Korea's population lives in rural areas, and 8% of homes in rural areas stand empty. A pyong is approximately 182 centimeters by 182 centimeters, and properties in rural areas are approximately 4 to 10 times cheaper on a per square meter basis as they are compared to the city. These places also go for 200 to 300 million Korean won and are detached houses that come with land, as opposed to apartments and villas in the city. I'll be the first to tell you this house is nothing to write home about. It's a dinky little trailer house that was built somewhere else and lowered down on this land. And you'll see these little hooks on all the corners of our house as proof of that. And it comes with bedroom number 1, bedroom number 2, living room / kitchen, bathroom, porch, the front yard, and the reason we bought this place, the backyard. The house itself is 15 pyong, roughly 51.94 square meters, and the total amount of land we got with it is 128 pyong, or 426 square meters, for 80 million Korean won, the same amount we paid as our deposit to rent our apartment in Seoul. Make it make sense.